Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's right now it's 8:05 in my place. Okay. Today I'll be talking about Bootstrap and what is it actually. Introduction of Bootstrap, of course. So, first of all, Bootstrap is a framework. So, what is a framework? A framework is like a toolbox for software developers, whether you are a programmer or Android app developer or iOS, whatever it is. Yeah, you are called software developers. It's a set of pre-made tools and rules that it's easier to build application. So yeah, frameworks make it easier for software developers to build applications. Instead of starting from scratch, developers use a framework as a foundation because it saves time and effort. Framework provide reusable code, simplify complex tasks, and guide developers with conventions. They're like a helpful structure that streamlines the process of creating software. And what is a web framework? So Bootstrap is a web framework. Before we have already discussed what is a framework, so now we must know what is a web framework. What is a web framework? A web framework, or also known as a web development framework, is a handy toolkit for building websites. It's like having pre-made tools and rules to make the job easier. Developers use it to save time, follow a structured approach, and work together smoothly. Think of it as a shortcut to create websites faster and with less hassle. Using a framework simplifies the whole process of building websites. So that's why uh, web, web frameworks are better than starting from scratch. And these are some examples of web frameworks, famous web frameworks. Six of them are Django, which is used for PHP, if I'm not wrong. Bootstrap is used for CSS, front end development. So there are two types of website development developers. There are front end and back end, and those web developers who does both of them is known as full stack. So Django is like if I'm not right, it's a back end, and Bootstrap is a front end. And then there is Flask, Laravel, Spring Boot, and Angular. So this is Bootstrap, this is Laravel, and this is Django, and this Angular. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a web development framework created by Twitter. Uh, w- you won't find this description on the Bootstrap website, but for information, it's actually created by Twitter. It helps developers build websites that look good and work well on various devices, so responsive, of course. It provides a set of ready-made components like buttons and navigation bar, a responsive grid system. So the grid system in Bootstrap is 12 columns. So each grid have 12 columns, a maximum of 12 columns, whatever the size is. And JavaScript plugin for added functionality. Bootstrap is popular for its ease of use, customizations, options, and a community support. It simplifies the process of creating responsive and attractive websites. Uh, there are around 25.3% of all known JavaScript library using websites are using Bootstrap. So from 100% of so there are like all known JavaScript library website. So we have all known is like 100%, and then 25.3% is using Bootstrap. So it's more than a quarter of websites uses Bootstrap. Because yeah, it's as we said before, it's easy, it's more attractive, and all those stuff. These are popular websites using Bootstrap. One of the five of them is Twitter, Airbnb, Netflix, Spotify, and Lyft. So of course we all know what a Twitter is, and Airbnb what is, Netflix, Spotify, and maybe some of you haven't known Lyft yet. Lyft is like Uber, I guess. I don't know. So Bootstrap usage in Twitter. It's used for its responsive design, consistent styling, and efficient development. Uh, of course, as a creator, they use their own products. and what and that what Twitter does here, or X. I don't know what do we call it now. And Airbnb, what they use it for responsive grid system, consistently styled components, pre-built JavaScript plugins, and faster development and maintenance. Although it may not be used now, but in the older codes that we can see the influence of Bootstrap being used in its code. And then Spotify, the same as Airbnb, although we cannot see it in the newest code. In the old code, there are some influence of Bootstrap and Lyft. Of course, responsive design UI component styling may be the reason why Bootstrap is used. um, Although it's not we can't find the Bootstrap codes in it code, but we can see the influence of Bootstrap in its web page. So why use Bootstrap? Okay, before we get here, before we come to an end, I want to persuade you to I want to convince you to use Bootstrap. So first of all is because of its rapid development. Bootstrap comes with a variety of pre-designed components and styles, allowing you to kickstart your project with a solid foundation. It doesn't only save times but also ensure consistency throughout your application. Second is its responsive design. In an era access where we, everyone or users access websites on various devices, phones, laptops, PCs, and all those stuff. Bootstrap responsive grid system is a lifesaver. So it saves you more time and it makes your job easier in making the responsive design and customization made easy. While offers default styles and components, it's incredibly flexible and customizable. You can mix them all, and then consistent UI components. Uh, it provides you consistency, and then community support. Bootstrap has a thriving community of developers who actively contribute to its development and cross-browser compatibility. All whether you are using uh, Firefox, and all those stuff. Uh, you can use Bootstrap. Bootstrap applies to a lot. Is compatible um, with all the websites and built-in JavaScript plugins. Over here, we can see the such as of like the examples of built-in JavaScript plugins. So Bootstraps come bundled with a variety of powerful JavaScript plugins, from modals and carousels to tooltips and popovers. These are these are ready-to-use components. These ready-to-use components can significantly enhance your functionality of your application without the need of extensive coding, such as here we can find modals, buttons, accordions, tabs, carousels, tooltips, core spice, toast, outlets, popovers, collapse, and drop downs. These are the image of them. This is accordion. So accordion is basically like looks like this, and these are buttons. You can see it in the website documentation web page, and then these are the toast. You can all find these in the Bootstrap documentation web page. And then here are the pros of Bootstrap. First of all, it's rapid development, as we say, consistency, responsive design, customization, community, and documentation, and finally, browser compatibility. So, the, although Bootstrap has so many pros and all those stuff, they still have cons. So, what are the cons of Bootstrap? First of all, its general look, learning curve, file size, over reliance on default styles, flexibility trade off, update, and versioning, which is frustrating. So, its general like since Bootstrap is widely used, websites built with it may have a somewhat generic appearance. Your website may seem similar to other websites because of its generic look and because that Bootstrap is widely used and its learning curve. Although Bootstrap is relatively easy to get started with, mastering its advanced features and customizations options may require some learning, especially for beginners, which is pretty troublesome for them. And then file size, including the entire Bootstrap library in a project can result in a larger file size, which impacts page load times. So basically, in a web page, if your file is big, when your file is too big or big, well, your page takes a bit of time to load. The bigger it is, the longer the time it took. And then over reliance on defaults. If not carefully customized, a website built with Bootstrap might have a similar aesthetic to other sites using the framework. This definition is very similar to the generic look. And then flexibility trade-off. While Bootstrap provides a solid structure, it might not be the best fit for highly unique or unconventional designs. Extreme customization might require more effort than starting from scratch. Updates and versioning. Upgrading to newer versions of Bootstrap may require adjustments to existing code, and there might be compatibility issues with transitioning between major versions. So this is where it becomes frustrating in Bootstrap. So Bootstrap often updates and changes version, which forces us to download the files, and and it causes us a much bigger problem. When we download the file size, what we get is a longer page load, as I said before. So the bigger the file size of your code, the longer the time your browser took for loading the page. And I guess that's all about Bootstrap, all you need to know about Bootstrap. And until here, let's say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.